Hey everyone, Hawke here. I'm just making a quick video. I say quick video. We'll see how it goes. Because of obviously recent events. And I just want to say I am getting absolutely fed up of the LARPers on the right in Britain. We have such an issue with them. And you'll know who these people are. These are the LARPers who think that, there's no political solution, that, every single time, every party is controlled by the Zionists, there's only one solution left to do, how to solve all these problems. And I'm just getting fed up of them. They are absolutely sabotaging our movement repeatedly. And you'll know who they are. The types who go, oh, well, we'll vote for the National Rebirth Party because they're super based. They're 133 people. They gather no support anywhere they go. And all this based talking, their leader, Alec, has literally said that as long as Jews don't lie to me, I'm more than happy to fill up my entire party with them. So once again, a nothing LARP. It's a nothing thing. Then you've got the Civil War LARPers, the types who goes, oh well, it's only going to end in a civil war. It's like, okay, that's fine. What's your plan then for this civil war? And you have nothing, because they honestly don't comprehend what a civil war would entail. They just think it's going to be some punch up in the street, like a fight after the football match, and then that's it. And then somehow they win. Okay, I actually need a bit more than that, because like tactics, who's leading this, what are we doing, how are we dealing with things, supplies, ammunition, what's going to happen. No, it's just oh well, the streets will start be engulfed in chaos, right? Then what? How do we win the chaos? They never tell you. And then you've got the people who are going to build these enclaves where we're outside the system. It's just going to be us doing error. It's us versus the system and all this, and we're going to fight back from it. It's like, no, you're not. You don't know how to farm. You don't know how to build things. The best example is Reese Talking account. He goes on and on and on about how they'll build some sort of enclave outside the system, and enough people do it, the system will collapse. He makes no mention of how they're going to win from that, nor does he actually explain how he'd run these enclaves or communities. Once you start asking questions beyond the LARP, you get no answers. Like the enclave. So where are you going? They don't know. How are you going to provide food? Oh, we'll farm. Okay, do you know how much land you need to farm? Do you know what crops you're going to grow? Do you know how to grow crops? Then on top of that is, are you going to raise livestock? Are you going to actually be able to have meat and dairy? And well, yeah, you need to know that, because you need to have pasture. You have to have places for crops to grow, and then places for your livestock to graze. And also, you can't just have one field for your livestock to graze. You need two, because you have to keep swapping over. Otherwise, you'll just kill all the grass there. Then, obviously, how are you going to defend the area that you have? What weaponry? What supplies do you have already? Do you have the farming equipment? Are you buying it? Are you building it yourself? Then obviously you've got your different things of where you're actually going to live. Is it just going to be one building? Are you going to build other things? Are you going to build other buildings, and you need raw materials? Oh, we'll use wood. Well, do you have access to lumber? Do you have a forest? Do you have like a wood nearby? If these things start piling up, and then you can start seeing like, hang on, these people don't actually have an idea. They are just literally living a LARPing fantasy where they somehow everything works out and then they win. Just like the Civil War people, just like the micro party LARPing. It's the same stuff over and over and over again. And every time there's a situation where, a party like Restore says something, oh, it's over. We're all going to have to do this. And it's like, okay, well then, if you're so right, and if you're so correct about things all the time, tell us why we should follow you. Tell us what your plan is. And the plan is basically nothing. Absolutely nothing. Like I say, once you scrape away the hyperbole on X And once you scrape away and go, hang on, what do you actually plan to do? It's a bunch of morons who literally never grew up from being a teenager with their apocalypse fantasies. Like, they honestly believe that somehow they're gonna do like a Herschel's Farm from The Walking Dead, and like, oh, we've got it all sorted, and then they're gonna build up and they're gonna like conquer other places, a la Mad Max, and and it's not. It's not like that. I mean, no one even takes into account that if there is a civil war, who we're actually going to be fighting against, because we're going to be up against an armed government. Do you think the government, even in the worst style of collapse, isn't going to be able to fight back somehow? Like, there wouldn't be factions in that government be like, oh, we'll take over here. You know, do you think that it would all just disband? It's like you don't even know who you're going to fight against. You just think it's going to be like a riot in Belfast. Like, people honestly think that somehow, like, if you just riot enough times, you'll win a civil war. That's not what happens. That doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen, especially in like a first world country with a civilized society. Because as well, on top of obviously the army you have to deal with, the police you'd have to deal with. Right, you have also got the immigrant population who will be fighting, and right, so they do have weapons. Say somehow we do get weapons. Right, what's our tactics? Because if we just mob rush people, we're just gonna get murdered and massacred and completely wiped out. So what's tactics? And it's like, well, we just follow somebody. Okay, so who are we following? Who are we following into this battle? And the thing is, none of them can actually tell you, because they're too busy fighting against each other to tell you who'd win. 100%, say the first battle, say the Civil War breaks out. Say a Civil War has broken out, and somehow we've all made these little enclaves. Like, the whites have made their enclaves, the foreigners have made their enclaves, the government's made their enclaves, blah, 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 and everyone's in all these different little enclaves, and we're all fighting against each other. Who's uniting the nativists? Who's uniting the right-wingers? Because it isn't anybody, of you lot, because number one, you don't want politics, which would be one of the things that would unite people. So no political solution, so how would you unite people? Okay? You have no idea how to do it. Would you take people over violently? Well, then people would fight back against that. The issue is, and this is the thing that the right have got to realise about these LARPers and these, I'm going to call them morons because they are, is there's no second stage to a plan. It is literally, their plan involves, civil war, or enclaves, question mark, win. And they never tell you how they're going to, like, what would winning entail. It's like, okay, so say if you won this imaginary civil war, what style of government are you bringing in? What are you doing to keep, control of everything? What are you doing to, make sure that everyone on the street's okay and all this sort of stuff? And there's nothing of that. There's just nothing of this. And like I say, I'm getting fed up of it. I'm actually getting incredibly fed up of this rhetoric that comes out after any slight, stumble by anybody in the right-wing sphere. It's just the slightest stumble, they all come out. They all say the same rhetoric over and over and over and over again. And I'm just getting fed up of it. I'm absolutely like, having to listen, no offense, having to listen to people try and tell me that a party of 133 people who have just shown repeatedly, bear in mind, it's not like they've been a party for 2 months or something. They've been a party for years now, and they still can't. I mean, I've got more followers than they've got actual party members. The last election they stood in, they got 19 votes. Right, whatever they're saying and to voters isn't working, and also it's not even working to attract the nut jobs who think that violence is the only solution to this, because otherwise they should have made their own miniature army by now. They haven't, because they're literally just ankle biters who are wannabe kings who don't understand how to get there, so they just LARP. like the Civil War people. They LARP because they think in a civil war they'll become the leaders. Because anyone with actual brain of how a civil war would happen would be like, oh my God, there's so much. Like, I really don't want the civil war to actually happen because there'd be so many things that could possibly go wrong. Like, it'd just be intense. You're gonna have to think of like the supply situation, munitions, battle tactics. You know, where would we go first? Like, what's like safe houses would we have? Would we have training grounds? What manpower would we be able to get? The LARPers don't think like that. Like the enclaves. Oh well, we're going to need this many acres. We're going to need this much cattle feed. We're going to need this much land for crops, and also we're going to have different crops for different seasons as well. So we've got a continuous cycle. Plus our defenses, we're going to have to find a way to build like a wall around so many miles of ground. I mean, then we're going to have to think about obviously medical supplies, and then we're going to have to think about machinery and like oil. I mean, if we're going to petrol, petrol, yeah. Oh man, we're going to have to do that. Build on, build on, and build on. And really, I'm obviously going over myself, but I really want to hammer this point home with everything. The right wing in Britain has really got to sever ties with these people. We have got to say to them, listen, grow up and actually put a serious head on for once. Because if you truly believe what you think is going to happen, these civil wars or these enclaves are going to happen, you are going to die straight away with stuff, because you are just pretending and you're just LARPing, and this is just a teenage fantasy of yours. You've got to stand behind an actual political party and try and maneuver it to where we want to go. And we've got to try and win this, power first before we can do anything. Because the more time we spend on the outside, the more time the establishment is going to grow and take its hold. And we've had 80 years ahead of us, 80 years to do this. So we've really, really got to start thinking like as adults now, and not as like the teenagers that I think a lot of us still think we are, because that's when we first started getting into this sort of rhetoric. And we've really got to start thinking of, the worst case scenarios are the scenarios we don't want to happen. But if they do happen, we've actually got to think logically about, how we deal with it, and not just, this pretend there'll be a punch up and then we'll win, because it won't. It'll be horrific, and we shouldn't be aiming for that. And we shouldn't be going, there's no more solutions, it's going to have to be violence, we're never going to listen to it. That's just defeating everything, and there's no point to, continue discussion. Because another thing I'd like to point out is the people who talk about civil war, if they all got together and marched on London, why don't they do that? And it's like, oh, we'll be arrested. Well, because you realise the establishment is that powerful, so you can't just rise up like that. But anyway, that's my I say short video. It's probably 13 minutes long. Good Lord, I do fucking yatter on. But that's my views, and this is why I really think we need to start, severing ties with these types of accounts and these types of micro parties, because all we're going to do is sabotage until you get it just keeps us in the same status quo. We're fighting each other, and the establishment's fine. And really, they've got this little delusional fantasy in their head, and in this delusional fantasy, somehow magically they become the leaders and the rulers and everything. And really, it's not going to happen like that. Anyway, that's pretty much all for that. So yeah, excellent. I'll see you in the next video in 6 months or something like that. Take care. Bye.